everybody, my name is Katie, welcome to my Cozy Corner, and happy Vlogmas. Today's video is going to be an end-of-year video, and it is going to be all of the book series that I have officially decided to DNF this year. Some of these books I haven't touched in years, but they were all hopefuls that I would eventually finish the series, or they haven't had a sequel in years, and I've always just been like, well, maybe it'll come out, but I'm kind of giving up on my hope for it, and honestly, I have lost interest in it. I have 6 series here for you. Most of them are YA, which if you know me very well at all is quite unsurprising. We are going to be going in no particular order, and the first book series that we are going to be DNFing officially is going to be Splintered by A.G. Howard. So this is a Alice in Wonderland retelling, and I love Alice in Wonderland. I adore Alice in Wonderland. I find the concept of it absolutely fascinating. Even though the book itself is not my favorite, I love the concept behind it. And I thought that this would be really interesting. I met A.G. Howard at a con, and she was very sweet, and I bought it there without really knowing anything about it or looking at any reviews or anything. I was just like, oh, it's Alice in Wonderland. I love Alice in Wonderland. Let me get that. And she signed it, so I'm not going to be getting rid of it. It does have my name in it, and that'd be a little bit weird, and I feel like a little bit rude. But honestly, it is just not for me. This was like a 2-star read back in the day, and I keep thinking, oh, well, maybe I'll read the second one and decide officially if I just don't like it. But honestly, none of the characters are likable. It has the love corner. It's not even a love triangle, it's a love corner. And just neither guy is interesting or even decent. While I love Alice in Wonderland, and the author is very, very sweet, I just can't bother to read the other ones. I did have one friend who was like, oh no, just read the second one, I promise. But looking at all of the reviews, they only seem to be getting worse in all of the aspects that I didn't like about this book, so I'm just going to officially put it away. This one I'm kind of upset about because I absolutely adored the first series and liked most of the second series, but by the time this last book came out, I had just lost all of my interest in the series, and I kept thinking, you know what, I'm going to eventually read it. I will. I promise I will. I want to finish it. And considering most people didn't really like it, like the ending, and I just don't think I will ever read the final book in this series, which is super upsetting because I only had one more to go. But it is Percy Jackson and the Heroes of Olympus. So I loved the first 3 books. The 4th one I was already kind of waning on my interest for, and by the time the 5th one came out, while I still really wanted to read it and I still enjoyed it, I just never had the urge to pick it up. I finished House of Hades I think twice and I really enjoyed it, but I just had no interest in reading this last one, especially when all of the reviews came in and said that it really was a very weak ending. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, most of Rick Riordan's series do have pretty weak endings, so that's not that surprising, but it was a little bit disappointing and disheartening, and it's been 5 or more years since this book came out, and I just don't think I will ever read it. So this one is one that I actually read this year. I finally read the 3rd book of this series, or the 2nd book of this series this year. I've had it on my TBR since I was in like 7th grade. I read the 1st book when it came out. I read the 2nd book when it came out. Did not read the 3rd book. And then I thought it was going to be over, and then he added more books into it, and you know what? I just don't care enough to read all of them. And that book series is Miss Peregrine's Home by Ransom Riggs. I read this in 7th or 8th grade. I don't remember when it first came out, and I really, really loved it. I read the 2nd book. I didn't remember reading the 2nd book. I reread it again earlier this year, and I gotta say, I didn't remember anything that happened in it, but I'm fairly certain that I read it once before, and I liked it, and I thought it was okay the 2nd time coming around, but I tried to read Library of Souls 3 separate times this year. I got the audiobook because I really didn't want to sit down and read it, just didn't feel like it. I know it kind of loses the energy of everything because you lose the pictures, but I just really did not have the time nor the energy to sit down and read, and I put it on my Goodreads that I was reading it. started it. It went back at the library. I downloaded it again, listened to it a little bit, went back to the library, downloaded it again. I'm not joking. I tried to read this book so many times, and I just had no interest in anything that happened, and I don't remember what happened. I own these. I am going to be getting rid of these. I have no interest in keeping them. I did win the 4th book. Yes, A Map of Days in a giveaway on Facebook. I did win it, and I was very excited about it when I won it, but if I can't even read the 3rd book, there's no reason to own the 4th or even try to get the 5th or the 6th one. So these ones will certainly be gotten rid of. I actually decided to DNF this series last year, really late last year, but I didn't mention it and I kind of just put it off. I DNF'd the 3rd book because I hated it and I have no interest in reading the 4th. I don't know why. I thought there for a brief moment that I might finish this series, but the series is The Diviners by Libba Bray. I love this book. This book is one of my favorite books. It's been one of my favorites since it came out. I adore this book. The second one is okay. The third one, it's either the 3rd or the 4th one. I don't remember if it's 5 books or 4 books, but the second to the last book, regardless, was absolute trash, and I hated it. I couldn't finish it. All of the characters went from being, like, charming to the most annoying, bratty people ever. And the love triangle made me mad, and the way that the characters were treating each other made me mad. The way that the main character was acting made me mad. There was nothing about that second to last book that I found interesting, and when I went ahead and spoiled the ending for myself, I was like, yeah, no, I am not going to finish this book, and therefore I will not be finishing the series. So this one will never be finished. This is by far, out of all of these, the only one that I have distinctly just disliked with a lot more oomph than just casually not really caring. And now we come to the final 2, which are the 2 that I'm giving up on purely for the fact that I don't think that they will ever be finished. The first one is a book that came out in like 2012, and the second book was supposed to come out in 2015, then in 2017, and then we're coming up in 2022, and the author keeps saying, I'm going to make it, like I am going to work on it, but I want to finish these other series first. And you know what, by the time it comes out, it's been so long that while I really, really, really liked this book, I have no interest in reading the sequel, and it is The Arithmetist by Brandon Sanderson. It is upside down. I don't even remember what the second book is. I think it's called The Aslantean, but he did a title reveal in 2017, and I haven't heard anything since. The one unfortunate thing about this book is that it does not have, like, a real ending. It's something that can be enjoyed on its own, definitely, but it is obviously not over by the end of the book, which is why it's frustrating to me, but it is very good. In this book, it is an alternate world where the United States is islands, and there are this chalk magic that's like half magic, half math, and you can use these chalkling things to fight each other, and there are wild chalklings that are coming out of a dark tower off in the east, or in the west, and you don't get any further explanation of what's going on over there. And the rest of this book, which I read this a very, very long time ago, and I do plan on rereading it, but it's been a very long time. The rest of this book is just about the main character in school. But I do really remember loving this book, and I thought it was so fascinating because it was very steampunky. But if the second book comes out, I'm probably never going to pick it up, so. This last one has a lot of people, not just upset, but like actively angry. And I'm really not surprised. And I very recently finally decided, you know what, I'm giving up on this series, because if he ever does come out with the final book, I'm not going to enjoy it. more than likely, because the more I look back on this series, while I still consider the first book a favorite, it definitely was going downhill. So yeah, and it is My Baby, The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I adore this book. The second book, Wise Man's Fear, is really not that good. I think I gave it 4 stars when I read it, but I was a senior in high school, and the more I think back on the plot, the more I'm just like, no, I don't really like it very much. There's a lot in it that just is not good. It's one of those things that it's fun to read, and I still love this first one. I think that the first one is genuinely good, but in whole, this series is one of those ones that's fun to read, but once you put it down and you actually look at the story, is not fantastic. This is about a boy named Cal. What is his name? I don't remember what his name is, but basically he is an orphan who goes to a magic school because he wants to learn the name of the wind, because in order to do magic you have to learn the names of things to do it. And first book, very entertaining, genuinely really good. I think the heroines are well done. There's a couple of parts that I'm like, the love interest is obnoxious and I don't like her. And I think she's kind of useless. I feel like she's just there to be pretty. Not my favorite. But the plot as a whole in the first book is very entertaining. You can read the first one on its own. You don't need to read the second one. Is it a fully finished plot? No, but it's fine in and of itself, and it's fun to read in and of itself. I honestly wouldn't even recommend reading the second one if he's not going to come out with that third one. And it's been several years. Same thing with the Arithmetist. He came out with the title Doors of Stone in like 2016 or 2017, and we haven't heard anything about it since. And I honestly am just giving up on it. And I wouldn't reread I would not reread The Wise Man's Fear to read the final one. This one I will happily reread. But The Wise Man's Fear, probably not. So that's 6 series that I'm fairly disappointed in. Both myself, the authors, and the books themselves. And will not be reading anymore. If you think that I could try and continue any of these, let me know. But as it's standing, I have 0 interest in finishing any of them. If you enjoyed them, if they're like your favorites, and you really think I should keep reading them, especially the ones that are like finished, let me know. Give me a good reason why I should finish them, and I will attempt. We will see. But that's all I have for you today. Kind of a downer of a video, but honestly I think it's important to see that not everybody who reads finishes everything they read. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you so wish, and until next time, have a happy evening, afternoon, or morning, depending on when you're watching this, and happy Vlogmas! Bye!